Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and in this tutorial what we're going to be doing is we're going to start learning the basics of event handling. Now up until this point what we did is we just made a really simple app. We had some buttons and widgets on there. However, whenever you clicked them, nothing happened. So these are like the dumbest apps ever made, pretty useless. So what event handling is essentially how to make your app interactive. Whenever they do something like click a button, you can call an event and I don't know, something occurs. So of course it would probably be pretty important during our app development process if we learn how to do this. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys in this tutorial, the very basics of how to make your app interactive so the user can interact with it. So what I'm going to do in this example is I'm just going to have one button, and then I'm going to have some text on there, and whenever the user clicks the button, the text is going to change. Pretty boring, but it'll be pretty easy to demonstrate what I'm trying to do. So probably shouldn't mention this. I actually started a brand new project with a blank activity, and I named my project Smart Button, but you can name it anything you want, of course. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to open up this activity main layout, and I'm going to delete this text view right here. So highlight it and hit delete, and the reason I did that is because I just want to drag a large text right there because it's a little bit easier to see during the tutorial. And again, I need a button as well, so go ahead and take a button and drag it right in the middle. So again, eventually the user is going to click this button and it's going to change this text right here. Now whenever we're learning event handling, of course, what this means is we're going to have to wait for the user to click the button and then change the text. So we need a reference to both of these objects right here. So we need to set an ID for both of these widgets. So you can do these in any order, but I'm going to go to my text view first and scroll down to ID. And right here it says text view, but that is kind of hard to remember and pretty generic, so I'm just going to name this Bucky's text and hit enter. Name it anything you want, but actually write this down or remember it because it's pretty important. And for my button, I'm going to change the ID to, you guessed it, Bucky's button. Hit enter. So now again, once each of these widgets has an ID, we can reference them through our code. Now the only other thing I want to do before we hop into our Java file is actually take care of these little warning messages right here. And you guys already know what these are. It says treat your strings as a resource, so click this, click the arrow, and let's just give this string a name. So for the text, I'll just name it like message underscore text. Make sure you don't name this the same as your ID or else that'll get confusing. So that's for my string, and do the same thing for the button. Alright, so for the button string resource, I'll just name this like the button text. So this will be the text that's on the button, and hit OK. So now what I want to do is I want to change the default text for both this string right here and also the text that's on the button. Now what I can do is I can go here and show you guys that shortcut, but your file, that strings.xml file, is actually under app resources. That's what RES stands for, values strings.xml. So for the button, I'll just set something like what can I put for the button, like click me Haas. So that's the text that's going to appear on the button. Now this right here is the default text, so it's the first thing that the user is going to see whenever they open their app. Now again, whenever they click the button, it's going to change, but by default I'll just write something like hello, since that's pretty creative, just hello. How boring is that? Now if you hop back over, you can see, okay, the default text of each changed appropriately. And actually, let me close out of this because we don't need it anymore. So now that we have our interface set up, let's go ahead and hop over to our Java file. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to import a few things. So since we're going to be essentially writing some code to tweak both of these things, what we need to do is we need to import Android.view, or excuse me, well, yeah, I guess I'll do it in this order. Android.view view, and remember, a view is basically any type of widget. So after this, we just need to import the packages for the button and the text view. So Android.widget.button and import Android.widget. And I just remembered something, text view. Now also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start my emulator. So that should be ready by the time we are done with this. And actually, let me just pause my screen recorder because I don't want, sometimes when I run my emulator, my screen recorder automatically gets stuck on that and my mouse won't move. So let me pause. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see my mouse moving right now. If not, and if I have to re-record this, then I'm going to uppercut my computer and then drop kick someone else's computer because it's really annoying when that happens. But anyways, alright, so we have everything set up. We imported all the stuff we need. Our interface is good to go. Now let me talk you guys through the basics of event handling. So like I said, event handling is essentially making something happen whenever the user interacts with one of these widgets, in this case clicking the button. So event handling kind of has two parts to it. The first thing that we need to do is we need to tell this button, okay button, you're not just a dumb button that's sitting on the screen anymore. You actually have to sit and wait for something to happen. And this is called adding an event listener. So adding an event listener means that your button is now going to listen for events, in this example a click. So once we added an event listener, it's going to be waiting for a click. Now the second part of event handling is, of course, after that click occurs, you need to make something happen, because even though it knows it got clicked, it would be pretty useless if nothing occurred. So the thing that happens is called a callback method. So again, event listener is basically waiting for a click, and the callback method is the code that happens, in this case changing the text on the screen. So really simple to understand, two parts, but it does take a bit of code.